Right, hello. This is a kind of an add-on to the energy balance one that we did, and it's something a little bit more fiddly, might not apply to everyone, but I think it's very, very important to understand when it comes to any form of dieting and any form of weight loss. So there's been a lot of kind of circulation of calories don't matter, you know, I've been in a calorie surplus and I've not really lost weight. And then this term, predicted maintenance, is what really needs to come in, but we're going to talk predominantly about metabolism. So, you know, let's say we have, you know, in order to facilitate weight loss, we need to be in calorie deficit. And let's say that this here, 2,500, is your maintenance. So that's the amount of calories that you would need in order to go to the gym, do what you do around the house, everything else, and still maintain your weight. And as I say, for ease of maths, we'll say that's 2,500. So what we would want to do on here is reduce that number in order to create a deficit of calories, calorie deficit, and facilitate weight loss. Now, what tends to happen is you'll go on some form of diet. So not that there's plenty wrong with Slimming World and Weight Watchers, but not that there's anything massively wrong with everything to do with those. Let's say you go something like that. So they don't particularly work out your individual macronutrient and calorie target, but they will facilitate a reduction of calories. No matter what you do at all, full stop, keto, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, vegan, blue light diet, whatever it is, fasting, it all facilitates a calorie deficit. So what happens is, what a lot of people do is they'll go from 2,500 to 2,000. Okay, like let's say they're not even tracking the calories, they just managed to do that, because you wouldn't particularly reduce that by that much. Their weight is going to drop through the floor, which is great, because, you know, the facilitated weight loss, they might be a bit low on energy and things like that, because that's quite a drop, but they're moving in the right direction. And what will tend to happen is they'll hit a stall point here where they'll be eating 2,000 and their BMR will drop, so their basal metabolic rate. So what happens is when you go from eating 2,500 calories to drop to 2,000, your body loses the weight but then thinks, I need to slow this down. So it slows your metabolism down as well. So what I mean by that is, even little things like how much you twitch, how much you jump your knee around and things like that, you know, you see those people who are quite active, they're probably in above their calorie maintenance or even into a surplus. So what happens is you're now at 2,000 calories. You then need to do something else, be it go to the gym more or reduce your intake and drop you down to 1,500. And this model isn't a particularly good model, because as you can see, we're going 2,500, 2,000, 1,500, onto 1,000. When we get down here, things start getting really, really rubbish. And then you've kind of run yourself into the ground. So this is just on the intake standpoint. You could still be also increasing your output, i.e. more gym sessions. And what you tend to find is people will slide down to here and then they'll increase their output. So they'll, instead of going to the gym 3 times a week, they're going 4. And they just run themselves into this hole. Now, why I want to bring up predicted maintenance is this can happen either way. When I started on about 2,600 calories before I started my weight gain for powerlifting, I'm now up to 3,200 or something like that is my maintenance. But your metabolism, the point of me bringing this up is that your metabolism can move. It's a slider. It's not set in stone. And where people go wrong is they'll put all their details into a calculator, right? I'm, 34, I'm 16 stone, and I'm, 167 centimeters, and then that'll spit out a number. They'll stick to that number and go, oh, well, bloody hell, calories don't matter because I've worked out my maintenance and I've gone below, and, it's just not that. It's got to be the carbs. Well, the issue is that was your predicted maintenance. What you do either side is determining of what your actual maintenance calories are. So this is why it needs to get a little bit more investigative, and this is why I like to get a food diary off you guys to keep things moving. So you're starting here, this is what the calculator says that you need to be on. What have you been doing? Have you been dieting? Have you been, eating in a surplus if you've been gaining weight, because then that predicted maintenance there may have gone up. It's not, you can't just do an arbitrary calculation that's going to predict exactly where you need to be. So you're at 2000. What's the food diary saying? Is the food diary saying that you're more down here or you're up here? Have you done anything too aggressive to manipulate it either way? And this is where you need to get a little bit more specific. You can't just do an arbitrary number. Like, I use a company called Avatar Nutrition, and they give me what they think the predicted maintenance is. I weigh in the next week, and then based off the back of that, they adapt it either way. But that's effectively what I want to do with you guys. We want to keep that progressing so we can figure out what your actual maintenance is. And once we've done that, it's easy. You want to gain some weight to improve muscle mass? This. You want to lose some weight because you've got a holiday coming up? This. And you can just keep things moving in the right direction. So predicted maintenance is a massively important one of figuring out where this point is. And then my approach, if that comes up and it's like, right, you're on 2,500, let's get you down to 2,300. Weight's going to go down, and that was meant to be an arrow. Weight's going to go down, and you're not going to get this massive adaptation. So you might sit at 2,300. I've had people reduce it by 200 calories, and the weight just keeps coming off. It's absolutely fine. But if you were to go from 2,500 to 1,500, that's what effectively the crash dieting is. You yo-yo down, and then you think, oh, right, okay, well, I've got to this weight. Fantastic, you're feeling great, you've lost 2 stone. I'm going to start eating back up at here again, at 2,500. And then instead of this being your maintenance and just maintaining your weight, your maintenance is now 2,000, and you've got this big gap here of 500 calories that you think is just, is part of your maintenance. But you were here, you've dropped your metabolism, you've come back to about 2,000. You've got this that's going to get stored as fat. And this is what the yo-yo diet is. This is what I lost weight with Slimming World, but when I returned to eating normally again, my weight flew back up. That's what's happening. You've got a predicted maintenance and then your actual maintenance. I hope that makes sense. I hope I haven't just shot it all off. With regards to practical application, with this, there's probably not an awful lot. I do the work for you, but it's just important for you guys to understand what's going on behind the scenes and what's actually happening from a numerical and from a fat loss standpoint. Once we've worked this out, once we've worked out your predicted and then your actual maintenance, we can start getting things moving. So any questions about any of that, let me know. The client who sent me this task, I hope that answers your question.